Good evening, folks. I think we still recognize ourselves. It's been several months. So first, we're going to do a work session. First one is Stony Creek subdivision, preliminary plat. And the next one is Stony Run Acres, preliminary plat. Amanda, are you going to walk us through this?
Yeah, I'll give you just a quick overview. So the first one that we're discussing, the plat is on the screen. It is a 72-unit townhouse style development. So we will have some of these units are, at the end of the day, they're all going to be single-family residential sold as individual units. But again, more townhouse style, so you may have two together, you may have three, you may have six in some little blocks. Just for the sake of everybody knowing where we are, both of these developments that we're discussing this evening are part of the larger Stony Creek development. The first tract is labeled. I don't know if you can see my label, but it's this piece right here as soon as you come in off Wildwood Way to the right. And then, of course, the second tract that we're looking at is that larger tract just to the south of that. And we have folks here to present for both of those.
Thank you. Who's presenting?
Hello, Patrick Sowers. We're submitting I guess as Amanda said, the 72 lots there in Stony Creek. If you come in Stony Creek, you know, the land to the right that's been there for 20 years, the road's been cut and infrastructure's been in, but it seems undone. That's the piece that we're proposing to put the street in, finish up. It actually would allow for quite a bit more density than we're using. We chose this. It kind of goes along with what we've been doing. You guys have done the one for me in Harvest Park there in the middle of town off of Morning View and Oak Street, and then the one we're currently doing out on Ridgewood. It's along those kind of style. We hope that the homes will come in a little under the houses, so it may be a little more affordable, a little less upkeep, that kind of thing. We will be asking for a variance on the side setbacks, which is 5 feet instead of 7.5. I think we're doing that. Amanda, help me out. I think because the PUD doesn't address it more or less, the setback. We also asked that the curb would, instead of the box curb, would use a rolled curb so we can accommodate for the driveways and stuff. So, any questions, thoughts?
So my question I have is, when I look at it, when you look at that, I guess, southwest portion of that open area, what's going to be done with that? Is the reason why there's no development, is it because topography?
Topography.
Okay.
It doesn't really allow for it. And the original thought was there's about 7 acres left there in the middle. And we had hoped that we could have some kind of a senior living, assisted living. I left something large enough to accommodate something along those lines. If we could attract one, obviously I'm not in that business, but I would be more than willing to partner or do something to see if we could use that to, I think we probably have a need for that. You know, it's just a matter if we could attract someone, so.
That was going to be my question too, man.
Any more questions?
When are you going to apply for the variance?
Tonight?
Tonight. Okay. I thought that was.
The next session. About 32 minutes.
So the reason so in other zones, where townhouses have been constructed, there has been a clear path through our regulations that R1T, or the townhome zoning, is permitted in other zones. So for instance, on the Ridgewood Villas, it's a B4 zone. Our regulations are very clear that R1T development and townhouse development is a permitted use. This one's a little more complicated because that's not so clear in a, we all kind of call this a PUD zone. PUD really is an overlay, and there is an underlying zone. That underlying zone on PUD, on this particular PUD map, is a commercial use. So we get there kind of the same way in thinking that, again, townhomes, most residential uses are permitted in commercial zones. It's just not particularly spelled out that way. So for this particular plat, in all other PUD areas, we have used a 7.5-foot side yard setback. That's the requirement. They're asking to reduce that to 5 feet. And I should also mention at this point that we have gone through our development review team. There is one remaining item, and that is approval by the Berea Fire Department for fire flow, for adequate fire flow. So at this time, the fire chief does not have enough information to be able to make that decision. So I would ask that as part of any approvals, that it would be contingent upon, of course, everybody has to sign off that's required, but again, we know at this point that there's some information missing. So basically, a contingency based on adequate fire flow being met.
What would you say? Fire what?
Flow?
Flow, that's what I thought you said, but. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
The next development is Stony Run Acres. Sorry, Martin, I probably jumped ahead of you a little
That's
bit
all
there,
right.
but Stony Run Acres is, again, just to the south of the first development. And I have the plat up on the screen. This is 135 lots, more traditional style, single-family residential, meeting the PUD zoning.
Hello, nice to see y'all tonight. I'm Bill Short, I'm the owner of New Idea Construction. This is 135 lots. We've reduced it down. As you can see, there's a lot of land left in this. We try to reduce all this down because we know that Stony Creek's getting kind of, it's got a lot of homes and stuff in there. So we try to reduce it down as much as we can through each development, just to come out and try to make it still a nice subdivision, for everybody to live in and stuff. And we're putting a pressured system on this. It's a new thing for Berea. We think it's I've talked with Kevin Howard about it and stuff like that, and we think it's a good thing for Berea to do this in this situation. So, any questions?
Could you repeat that? I was scribbling
Oh, you
notes
was writing.
myself. A
I
what
was just-
system?
It's a pressured system for the sewer.
Okay.
And what they do is they've done it in different places in Madison County. They didn't want to put a pump station here because there's not enough homes there to keep it up. You have to have quite a few homes in to put a new pump station in and then to keep up the maintenance and stuff on it. So we talked about a different situation here to make it individualized on each home, and that's what we done here. And like I said, the city is changing its regulations to accept that because it's not been done in Berea nowhere.
What provides the pressure?
The pump itself.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, each house has a pump on it, and it pumps into a line that the city actually owns, but the city does not maintain it or do anything from the tap back. It's left on the homeowner. And like I said, we've done it in different places around the county, but it's not been done in the city of Berea. And with Berea running out of, places to build and the sewer not available, it makes it more acceptable to places that you wouldn't able to develop.
Does that mean each house has a black backflow preventer on it?
Yes, yes. Yep. Every house has, they actually have a shut-off out in the front of the property. That's what you tie onto. There's a backflow preventer to keep any kind of pressure from coming back on every house. And it has to be, of course, it has to be a certified system on it.
As an add to that, I will mention that Bill has been very accommodating in, we want homeowners to know what they're buying as much as we can. So this is a little different than what the other houses at Stony Creek have. So one thing that we talked about was assuming that the ordinance gets passed to be able to have this type of system, and they get approval through Division of Water to install this system, that, we were kind of thinking through, how do we let homeowners or potential buyers know this? So they did add a note to the plat. It'll also be on the deed restrictions, so that we at least give people the opportunity to know that there will be some responsibility for maintenance.
Yes.
But the homeowner's gonna be responsible for some maintenance.
Yes, yeah, most of the time those pumps will last 10 to 15 years, then you'll have a replacement on those. But it's like anything else. You could have one go bad in 5 years. I'm not gonna lie to no one and say, listen, that's gonna last 15 years. You don't know it's gonna last. I put brand new stuff in, it's, you've got a warranty in a year and you go back and change it. But the average is 10 to 15 years on this system. And you'll have an alarm on it that if it shuts off or it don't work, you've got alarms on these that let you know that it's not working on it. But it is a system that's working, that's in the county. Boone's Trace is one of the biggest, and that's what that whole area works off of. Yeah.
Amanda, I have a question. Since there's going to be a stipulation with the first development that we looked at that, we're looking at, water flow and pressure and that kind of stuff with the fire chief, given the fact that this development is almost double the other one, is the same contingency need to be made with this one as well?
Well, so we're not actually taking this one for approval this evening.
Okay.
Because so it's not listed on the business session for a
Okay.
vote this evening. There
Okay.
are still some stormwater things to work out.
Okay.
The same water note, if you will, would apply. So yes, still some of the technical reviews for Bill's section that has not been complete for us to be able to come to planning commission and feel comfortable saying, please approve this. So we're just here, we wanted to get them before you all to make sure that, obviously, if there are concerns.
Any other questions or comments? John?
I have no concerns.
Oh, I thought you were preparing to speak.
So, I still somewhat have some concerns about this development. And not to mean that I'm anti-development whatsoever, but I still have a problem from a safety perspective when we look at only one way into this place. And when we continue to add, when this one comes in plus the other one, potentially another 400 plus cars. But what do we do if there's some sort of an emergency or this, that, and the other? I know that there's, the back there that has that has a chain across that the county has the keys to and all this stuff. I mean, it continues to concern me from a safety perspective.
Yes.
Of
I
the
understand that, and-
of the density of
Yep.
population that's going to be there.
Yes, we understand that. The reason I've had Preston, he's done the traffic survey. He can speak more upon this, and then that way might make you feel a little bit more comfortable. And we've got other development back in the back part of this here, and that's the reason we're trying to reduce it down. As much, I'm just trying to get out of there. Being honest with you.
I get it.
I'm just trying to get out of this place. I love Berea. It's my hometown. I'm gonna die here. But, some of the things when I bought this property at the beginning, we thought we solved a lot of these issues. Some things has worked out that we need to change a little bit, and I'm good with that. Like I said, my mother lives in there. I would want it to be safe for her. I'm in and out of there more than anybody is.
Yep.
But the biggest thing is we need to, just trying to reduce it down, reduce all the lots, just, a lot of you all know how it is. When development is great, when everything's going good. It's not going good now. It's slowing down. So that scares you. You just try to do what you can to keep everybody satisfied. But here's Preston. He'll talk about that.
Thank you all. Preston Worley, I'm an attorney with the McBrayer Law Firm, and I do land use work, a lot of work in City of Richmond and Madison County. Haven't had an opportunity to be in front of you all, so it's great to be here. But I've been consulting some with Bill and Pat to a certain extent. And so I kind of looked back through this, and Amanda and I had a great conversation about a month ago. So I would, just a couple things to kind of bring up in your history of that you all know certainly as much as I do, but one, the size of the entrance is, what we would call a boulevard-style entrance. So while it is technically one way in and one way out, there's 2 lanes on each side. So that can always be monitored, striped in conjunction with the state highway traffic engineer if improvements need to be made. But those 2 turn lanes that were put in have certainly created that safe in and out atmosphere and view shed. But I would just what I really went back and looked with what they're offering here is kind of trying to keep underneath the traffic impact study that you all have had for about a year now that Prime AE did, that assumed around 900 homes, and that all of the movements in and out of the neighborhood are safe as being designed and being planned. Now, as time goes on, not necessarily because of development in the neighborhood, but because of just the anticipated increase on US 25, those become more difficult, particularly a left-hand out of this neighborhood that's the one movement that will always be a little bit difficult. But that's not really, when you look at the traffic study, because of the development inside the neighborhood. That just is what it is and will continue to be that way with continued growth in the county, but it remains a safe and acceptable service level. And so what I've done is I engaged, just as I think it's prudent for you all as you continue to look at more units coming in to occasionally revisit the traffic issue. And so the last traffic study you had was February of '24. So Bill allowed me to engage Vision Engineering out of Lexington to do an additional traffic study. And Amanda, I apologize, I haven't had a chance to share this with you. I just got it. But I asked them to review the Prime study and to do their own review so that you would have a current one and a different traffic engineer take a look at it. And I can just summarize for you, they come to basically the same conclusions that Prime does, that service level of all the movements in and out will always be safe, though it will continue to be a little more difficult as growth comes along. Particularly that left-hand turn lane could get as much to 2 or 3 cars stacking at a time as time goes along and a delay. I think that's when you get more build out, when you get more units, when you get more trips, that's when the state highway traffic engineer kind of looks into it a little more in depthly. But I'll put to you one thing that I found interesting in the Vision study is they looked and said that Prime did a traffic count up and down Richmond Road. And then in their assumptions with the 900 units, they used the traffic manual estimates, not just their counts. And the traffic manual estimates were about 20% more than the actual 2023 counts that they got. And if you look, 2024 counts, and again, I can get Amanda all these numbers, and we can continue to have this in the record for you, particularly before Bill comes back for his business session. But the actual 24 counts that the State Highway Traffic Engineer has are, in some different peak times, almost 20% less than the assumptions used in the Prime study. So it's good to be conservative, that Prime did, and kind of estimate a worst case scenario, but we're starting to see that the build out and what Bill's talking about of just building enough to fill out the right phase necessarily, the growth in Berea and the use of US 25, we're not even getting to those higher numbers. So I'm not saying that that's not a busy area, and it's not, I'd be the first to admit that. Just trying to say that I think the record gives you some confidence that it is bad traffic, but it's not bad because you're developing it. It's just bad traffic that we all have to work through and figure out how the best way to plan. No.
Like I said, I used to live on, on that White House right before you get to the subdivision. One house getting out of there, it's the same problem turning left with one house as it is out of Stony Creek. It's because of 25. And that's the biggest issue that we have there. And as things progress, a lot of those people go to the right because Richmond's the bigger city. That's where most of your traffic goes, is to the right on it. And, it states it on,
I got one little quick one. Does the traffic study have a timeline, the busy time of the day? Because like in the factories, I guess what's like 2 to 4?
Yeah,
And then
it's-
like from 7 to 9 or something like that?
AM peak hours and
Yeah.
PM peak. So the AM peak is 7:15 to 8:15 a.m.
Okay.
Assuming that's when most people are leaving to go to work or school. And the afternoon peak is 4:30 to 5:30. And that's what AE Prime studied, and so that's what Vision reviewed. Vision didn't do their own traffic counts, they just pulled the state highway engineers' traffic counts. But that's what both traffic engineers have used in their assumptions.
And also with the total amount of people living in development like that, in that road, what would be for about putting a traffic light in there? Have they been studying about?
So both engineers make comment about traffic light warrants in their studies. Neither one of them opines yes or no. They just say these are the state warrants. The Prime study is a little bit confusing because it says it meets one of 3 warrants that the state highway traffic engineer would use, and it's a crash warrant, but that crash warrant is all up and down that corridor. And there's just a few side swipes. It's mostly single vehicle accidents or related with animals. There's not been that devastating T-bone or real hard rear impact that are what they're looking for in that warrant for exactly. But that's kind of the state highway traffic engineer's fallback warrant. If we start having problems, then we go in. What they're looking for in the other 2 warrants that both traffic engineers say are not there yet are just the 8-hour and 12-hour trips. So we look at the worst times, those peak hours. The state highway traffic engineer says, I need to see across 8 hours or across 12 hours that there's this many trips generated. So it's one of those things that I've argued for years about traffic. We want to plan for traffic, and we want to do our best at this level, but when we rely on the state highway traffic engineer, he does it the other way. Until you give him enough households and enough trips, then they won't consider it.
Well, maybe look at how much taxes these people are paying, maybe.
Yeah. But I will say
we
that.
did ask, I will put that, we have called them and talked about that at the beginning before I actually even bought this property. I knew there were some concerns and things, so we did ask about that, and they said, no way at this time. Maybe at a later date, we'll look at something, either the traffic on 25 or, so, but at this, but 9 chances out of 10, there'll never be a light there.
Or if you get lucky enough, if you've been on Richmond, Athens, Boonesboro Road in Lexington lately, and you see the 5 J-turns that they've authorized. So they said no to a traffic light, but they could redo the whole corridor.
We're not talking about US 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something very simple.
Yeah, it's just that area is just put on the back burner for the state, and we all know that.
But I think that's both traffic engineers in these reports, particularly Prime, says that that's something to always keep monitoring and pushing for with the state, but recognizes that those warrants just aren't there yet. Though I think as you continue to, when you see your final development out, it may one day reach that capacity.
So would it be possible for us to get that report, or at least me, and then is it okay for me to share previous and new
Yes.
studies with the commission?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get that to you. I just had a day, by the time I left the office getting here, I didn't get a chance to share it with you.
Yeah, and that'll give people time to compare both and be able to. Those aren't an easy thing to understand.
No.
I will say that. It does take a little time and attention to understand those if that's not what you do for a living, but,
Some of it's pretty clear when you read it, and I'm not up on top of that. That's the reason I had Preston here, is because he can explain it to you better than I can. Some of it you'll be able to understand, just kind of the breakdown on it of the whole situation. You know, it'll kind of just summarize it out. That's what I took from it. The rest of it, I really,
yeah, they do give a summary,
Yes.
so.
Yeah. As an end report, you always look at the executive summary
That's right.
first. Maybe that's all you look at.
We do appreciate you doing that, though, because that is always a little bit of a concern for us. So that's going to help us a lot to look at something like
Well,
that.
absolutely. Well, particularly when you've got a development that otherwise, it meets all of the concerns of your development ordinance and your regulations. There's a few technical issues still to work out, but then, obviously you want to plan for, what are your concerns out there and what do you hear from the public? And so we do our best to give you that record.
That's good.
Amanda, given that this is initially approved as a PUD with underlining commercial zoning, has there been any interest in anything commercial out there, like Dollar General or something like that?
There is, a vacant piece of land, actually two vacant pieces of land still kind of in the front, the very first two lots, that we expect something. They've kind of been reserved for that purpose. But, nothing formal. Unless someone else wants to speak to that may know more than I do. I don't know. Yeah.
I've had enough.
don't throw me under the bus.
Come on. You skated. So, on the first track, can you highlight it, Amanda, that, as we come in, maybe?
Is it that rectangular track there?
Yes, it's that one. So,
Yeah.
it's been designated as a commercial use. The idea is on the corner there, we've talked about for quite some time, a Shell Mart convenience store, something along those lines. Realizing that with that comes the same traffic issues we're talking about. Is it doable? Is it possible? Can we turn in and make an immediate right turn into the station and go around and come back out the piece that I'm wanting to pave, which would that lighten up? Is that feasible? We don't have the answer to that. It's an obvious choice for if you'll go up toward Richmond there around Carriage Gate, how there's a station there in the front, and I mean they're at Ridgewood, they're in the stations in the front, so it's a pretty common spot. It would fairly probably be successful. We're looking also at some storage units on down that will be blocked by some other units. And then at the very bottom of that track, to be transparent, we are looking at, I think, maybe 12 apartment units. They got the beautiful view of the lift station. They're overlooking the septic area there and all that. So that's kind of the use of it, the thought behind it. But so yes, some commercial use there. I mean, in my mind, it's kind of hard to have a PUD and you don't do anything but build residential. So that's
And that's kind of my view on it. I mean, I'm still kind of confused why we continue to call it a PUD when it's a big subdivision.
correct. And that's one reason why we designated the area in the middle. I think we had some assisted living or we had something different, some kind of, maybe a nurse, whatever, that we could do that in the middle. If we can't do the station or Shell Mart or whatever that thing becomes, we've discussed putting in some kind of office space and see if we can, some small offices and see if we can at least use the land. So that's been tossed around a few times. It's for sale, by the way, too, if anybody interested.
Well, I would imagine that convenience factor with 900 units out there, that's who they're primarily going to serve. Very few folks coming and, because there's just a quarter mile up the road, there's another station.
To a certain extent, somebody runs down out there.
Yeah.
There's actually only one gas station on that side of town.
Yeah.
That's true.
Any other questions, comments?
I know we discussed it one time, I mean, because I live off Old 25, and then eventually, will that ever connect? Because the train, pretty rough, the village there.
You've got, when you go over to, they showed off different types of
Yeah.
entrances and exits on that, but, you know, we've got one coming in up there,
At,
in that subdivision.
been there for,
Crestview.
Crestview forever.
Off Crestview, it's
Yeah.
gonna have a gate on it. I think eventually it will not have a gate. I just think that's something that, when it gets to that point, when that's put in there, I think
There you
it'll
go.
be done away with.
Okay.
I do not believe that that'll happen. I know it has to be taken care of in the road attached and stuff like that. That's in the works now.
mm-hmm,
But now on the other side, the terrain of going through, there's a creek there, you can't get through it. There's no way to get through it.
okay,
The worst problem about that is you know what you'll do? You'll have everybody coming from, those other subdivisions. Say, "Hey,
cutting through.
shoot there."
That's what's happened on Herdon Lane.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to open it up to another area. Sometimes you end up causing more traffic to come through. 'Cause
Good point.
everyone on the
Good.
Kingston side
Yeah.
is gonna say, "Hey, let's shoot through there."
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So given it appears no more questions or comments, close this work session. Is that okay, Amanda? Move on to the business session. So I call to order the business session of the Berea Planning Commission for Tuesday, October 28, 2025. Any visitors here who are not related to the agenda? Okay. Minutes, August 26, 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to approve the Berea Planning Commission minutes on Tuesday, August 26, 2025, as presented, please.
I'll second that.
Thank you. It's been motion made and second to approve the minutes from Tuesday, August 26th as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, old business. Villages of Beaumont Farms Innovative Property Investments. Letter of credit for bond expiring December 31st, 2025 in the amount of $73,000 even. Request an extension for 1 year.
Mr. Chairman, I will speak on behalf of the developer, that they request that extension. We have now gotten our final coat of asphalt paving on that road, so that's, actually, this subdivision is made up of 2 streets. Garden Gate Drive, as soon as you come into Beaumont, and then a portion of Pauline Drive, which is where the apartment complex Harvest Commons is located. So we have gotten final coat of paving over the last couple years on that. Certainly a lot of development in that area. We anticipate construction to continue in that area, so the staff would recommend that extension.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 1-year extension for the Villages of Beaumont Farms, letter of credit, $73,000 to expire December 31st, 2026.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second to approve Villages of Beaumont Farm Innovative Property Investments, extension of their letter of credit in the amount of $73,000 for 1 year, expiring December 31st, 2026. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Number 2, subdivision bond release updates.
So I realized it came to my attention that we bring continuations and extensions to Planning Commission, but we never let you all know when things get closed out. So I thought I should probably give you an update. Melissa has also had a great idea to start adding these to the minutes, just for the record. So at the bottom where you'll see plats and different approvals, we're also going to start including bond releases there. It helps our records as well. So, but just to update you on a few, Baldwin Street, if you'll remember, that was a two-house subdivision, basically. It was an extension of an existing street, and so that one got houses built, roads paved, streets accepted into city maintenance, and bond released.
That's all like within the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was quick.
it happened pretty quickly, yeah. Fincastle subdivision, the streets were accepted last year, but this year, all sidewalks have been constructed on remaining lots, or they have open permits. So I think they actually have 2 that they're finishing construction on. We will tie the sidewalks to certificate of occupancy to ensure that those connections get made. But again, those houses under construction, fully expect that'll get completed. Vineyard Phase 3, that last house is under construction. Streets have been accepted, so same thing. We had 1 remaining lot there. This year, that lot's being built on, permitted, under construction. I will mention that from a change in our regulations, I think it's sometimes to look back and see, is the work that we do important? Fincastle and Vineyard have worked exactly like we hoped that they would, the way that we wrote the regulations, so that it would encourage these developments to complete sidewalks and all within 5 years. So it is working, and I think that's a good sign. You know, we've had a challenge with closing out a lot of our old developments. So, on a good note, Beaumont is wrapping up as well. So they have installed all their sidewalks, working on just a few little punch list items, and that one will be closing. That one will be released soon as well.
Thank you. I think approving the rolled curbs has been a big plus in moving some of this stuff forward.
I think we've definitely made some good changes in the last few years.
Okay, moving on to new business. Stony Creek Subdivision, Berea Property Development LLC, preliminary plat, Unit 1, Block 2, Phases 3 and 4.
I'm back. So, as we talked about it earlier, it's just 72 units, and I think we covered most of the bases. You have any questions? Been brought up the traffic, and I think we addressed it best we could, given what the situation we're in. We do need a variance for the side setback. I did argue the point with Amanda. I lost. Imagine that, right? Well, my comment was, it was a commercial underlay, so shouldn't we be able to do it the same as that we did Ridgewood? And she showed me the path forward was different. Am I accurate, Amanda?
I don't think that's as straightforward, but I think a side yard setback essentially does
fine.
the same thing.
Yeah, it does. And then the road curb would need that variance as well, so.
So let me get this straight. Should we decide to approve it, it would be approve the plat. It would go with approving a variance of a 5-foot side yard setback, roll curb, and contingent upon adequate fire flow. Is that the right?
Yeah,
Or-
maybe we should, but by Berea Fire Department.
Okay.
There's a little bit of discretion left to the fire chief, I think, as to what's adequate. So I don't know that we should put a number in. We just address that when he's comfortable to sign, then we're good. If he's not, then it doesn't matter if we had a meeting or not. We got to have his signature, so.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, that's right. Hold on. The side yard setback is 0 for some of these units, for the units that are going to be abutting each other. So if we look at, so basically we're asking for a 0-foot side yard. Thank you, Colton. So if we look at a block of units, so in particular, units, or actually, let me just go to this detail here. So on this detail, there will be a 0 side yard setback where the units abut, and then a 5-foot side yard setback where there is distance next to the property line. So that's correct, we would be asking for a 0, a reduction from 7.5 to 0. Now, I will add that, you know, when we push units together, now building code tells us we have to build that better than if we had physical separation. And this will speak to part of the fire chief's concern as well in terms of exposure. You know, in a typical R1, we've got 30 feet between houses, so 15 feet to each property line. In these cases, really when we get below 30, it puts us into a different exposure category. And what that ends up relating to is there are certain things that the building code will afford, particularly if we build townhouse-style construction. Now we are building those, it's called rated walls, so we are fire rating 2 walls, so it's a 2-hour fire-rated resistance construction wall, made up of kind of 2 individual walls, where if we have issues on this lot and we have fire, this one has to be completely structurally independent. So when we push homes this close together and they're going to be individually sold, we get not only the fire resistance rating part of it, but we also get the structural integrity part of it, where that wall has to still stand. So there are things in the building code that does allow for, again, that's really kind of a separate and distinct matter, but it does speak to some of the fire department's concern and their reason for asking for more information to be able to make their decision.
So that's a 2-hour common wall. What are the other walls? What's their rating?
At 5 feet, building code does not require a rating. It only requires a rating at less than 5 feet.
Okay.
So, so those, as of now, again, in terms of strictly building code requirements, there would not be any fire resistance rated construction that needed to occur on the exterior walls.
So the exterior, actually, you have 5 feet to the property line, but then there's another 5
So
feet. So
10
there's a
feet,
10
so-
total
Yeah, yeah.
between the 2 structures.
Well, this question is kind of irrelevant to this, but I'm curious of what that common wall construction is going to be. Is it going to be masonry?
It is not. It can be a couple things. It can be drywall, a couple layers. It can be a shaft wall we've looked at that haven't really designed the homes. I think in Ridgewood, we used 2 layers of drywall and 5/8 on each side all the way to the deck. And then at the roof line, there's fire-rated plywood on each side. So that would theoretically burn each side, and the middle unit would stand. And you should have if it works right, I guess you should have 2 hours before you had to vacate if the fire was burning. I suggest going a little quicker, but that's the theory behind it, so.
No penetration or nothing between those.
No penetrations, it's either fire caulked or it's sealed all the way to the deck.
Are these gonna be like rental or?
No, the goal would be to sell them individually. yeah. If they don't sell, then yeah, we're in.
Yeah. But they've done that in Lexington.
Everywhere, typically, yeah.
So it's 2 hour unprotected, right? No sprinkler or anything like that?
No sprinkler.
It's just a slow burn. Yeah.
Little different than a duplex, only because of the structural integrity of it. So again, in a duplex, where we have same owner, building code affords you,
One wall.
I guess it's not as much impact. Again, same fire, same result. But with these, there will be that structural integrity component where, again, that wall still has to stand. Then that's not so much the case in a duplex. Do what now? Yeah, there's lots of different ways you can build that wall. UL rated, UL has lots of different ways to build that wall. They can choose any of those. Any of the approved. Yeah, any of the approved.
How many square foot? Did you ask?
I'm guessing, I think we tried to make these large enough where they'd all have garages, at least a 2-car garage, and probably 1,300 feet or so, something like that. I haven't really designed, and then some of the others, there'll be some 2 stories in there too, with a single-car garage. It seems like the ones we've done, everyone likes a garage. Everyone has to have a place for I'll say storage, but I really meant junk if you see my garage. But I mean, I guess one thing I could do is do away with the garages and build those storage units up front and maybe see if I could get them rented. I don't know.
Any other comments, questions? Are we clear now? Approval would also mean approving a variance in a reduction of 7.5-foot side yard to 0.
On units that above each other, they're side by side.
Yeah, well, it's my understanding, we're just approving a 0 side yard.
I don't think it matters, in my opinion, if, I'm trying to think about if the 5 feet really matters, if it needs to be. Again, building code's gonna tell us what we have to do in those cases.
Yeah,
I mean, does it not make sense to add both? So,
We
so,
certainly can.
so it's
Yeah.
covered?
Yeah.
I mean, whoever makes the motion, right? With roll curb and contingent upon Berea Fire Department chief signing off.
With that, may I make a motion, Chair?
Absolutely.
I would like to make a motion approving the preliminary plat of Stony Creek subdivision, Unit 1, Block 2, Phases 3 and 4, contingent on approval by the Berea Fire Department, with a variance for a side setback of 0 feet and a rolled curb allowance in lieu of a box curb.
Second.
okay. We have a motion and a second. Did you get that motion down, or do you want me to read? Okay. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, that ends our old business, new business. We're on to discussion. Amanda and Stephanie, do you want to say anything about this?
I wasn't really gonna say, I wasn't gonna share anything on it. I just thought you all, I'm gonna try to keep you updated, every couple of months and bring in something so that we just sort of keep our eye on what's happening. And, there's not a lot of huge changes. Everything's good. Market's good. Everything's moving good. The interest rate dropped a little bit, so that's always a good thing. And, the median price is up just a little bit, but not at, staggering numbers. So everything's holding pretty steady.
I see days on the market has dropped considerably, so
Yeah.
things are moving. And my question, number of listings, so is the difference between active listings and sold listings the amount of places available?
Yeah, if it's active, then it's for sale, and if it's sold, but, yeah, and the numbers on those are staying pretty good too, so while we do have a little bit less development, homes are still moving, so it's good. We're very comparable to other cities, so.
Okay. Thank you. Very informative.
Due to holidays, we did have to change, one meeting date in December, so just so everybody is, just so everybody can get everything on their calendar, November 11th is Veterans Day, so, as a federal holiday, we plan not to have a meeting that evening. We do plan to have a regularly scheduled meeting for November the 25th. That is the week of Thanksgiving. And so, I know that's kind of tough, big travel week, but, we likely will have a meeting. For December, we have put everything out so that we, because the regular business session will be the week of Christmas, we have put information out where if we have zone change applications or otherwise, they would have a November deadline to make a December 9th meeting. So as of now, that is the only meeting we plan to have in December, would be December 9th. And that would be a work or business session, depending on what we need. Also, just want to mention in terms of dates, Melissa had sent you an email, but we do have planning and zoning training on November the 20th. It looks like we have new presenters at that meeting, so hopefully we get new information. It's not the same stuff that we've heard many, many times, so I'm actually looking forward to it. They're going to share with us renewable energy solutions, just do an intro to KRS 100, a Kentucky legislative review. So that'll go over changes to the to KRS that occurred in this last legislature that I've spoken briefly to you guys about. There was one change in particular about manufactured housing that we're going to be looking at very soon. We have a deadline to implement those changes. So hopefully getting a little more information on that. And then just general housing supply and accessibility. One of those changes to KRS 100 was that with the required training, each member must have one dedicated hour toward housing. So that'll meet that requirement. So if everybody can attend.
And that's going to be at the,
At the Folk Center
Folk Center, yeah.
on November the 20th. And it is an all-day event. We'll serve you lunch, and you'll be there a while.
Is that just for Berea people, or is that for everybody? Like
It's open, so it's a training offered through Kentucky League of Cities. We were just Melissa was able to get them to come to Berea to actually host that training here. So there will likely be folks from other areas. In fact, that it holds about 80 people, so I expect them to be packed out simply because they have not offered this training as much as they used to. So if you guys haven't noticed, we are just not able to find the trainings as often as we used to.
yeah. And COVID kind of set everything back.
Yes.
And none of those dates, well, you don't have anything for the comprehensive plans or anything, any meetings?
To date, or as of today, I should say, I do not have an update on any public or steering committee meeting, stakeholder meetings or otherwise for the comp plan. I will mention, just for the sake of the group, that the last I heard from our consultants, within the last 2 to 3 weeks, they were reaching out for information on land use, so I do expect that that's what they are currently working on. And when I have some dates, I'll certainly let you guys know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing nothing else on the agenda, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. I got a motion